Right, it happened. She has left. Kathleen Kennedy has left Lucasfilm. It's all official. This is the exit interview, courtesy of Deadline. I wanted to go through it and take a look. Now, make no mistake, this woman has led just demonstrably the destruction of Star Wars. I can't fathom how anyone could say otherwise, right? She has presided over the complete devastation of Star Wars, and her going is brilliant news, but not great because their replacements are not that great either. It is what it is. Okay, Dave Filoni's not that great, and Lin-Wen Brennan's not that great either. But she kind of complains about bits and pieces of sexism and misogyny and toxic fans and all the usual crap in this interview. But I thought we'd take a look, go through it with you guys. But this is official. She is gone. She's done. Woo! It's good. I mean, it's good news, right? Now we still need to get rid of the other two that are now there as well, because they're not that great either. Or maybe they are going to be good. Who knows, right? It may be that when she was still there, and they were sort of, doing their work, Dave Filoni, for instance, that her creative control over him led to his products being garbage. Maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. So let's see. I don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt, though. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not suggesting give him the benefit of the doubt. But anyway, whatever. Let's take a look. Let's have a look-see at this. All right? Thumbs up, hit subscribe, blah, blah, blah. She gone. She out of here. So this is an exclusive to Deadline, as they say. On a rainy London day in December, not 2 hours after wrapping Star Wars Starfighter with director Sean Levi, and a cast headed by Ryan Gosling, Kathleen Kennedy was ready to discuss the long-in-the-works transition of Lucasfilm. Brilliant. So she's handing the reins to a long-time lieutenants. The Disney division will, be run by Dave Filoni, and on the business side, Lin-Wen Brennan, a sharp Welsh executive who has been Lucasfilm's executive vice president and general manager after 16 years at ILM. Cool, fine. Again, I don't think that they're going to be particularly great, just as an FYI. Anyway, Kennedy has been getting them ready for a couple of years as she plotted a return to her first love, producing. She'll be making a lot of, Star Wars films. Brilliant. So she's not gone. She's still going to be around. Yay. Far in the future, as well as teaming on some projects with Frank Marshall. They've been married nearly 40 years and fell in love as they presided over Steven Spielberg's Amblin in its heyday. Before taking up George Lucas on his offer to run Lucasfilm in 2012, before Disney acquired the company for just over $4 billion in cash and stock, Kennedy already had a hand in what seems like just about every significant blockbuster that has been part of our lives. Her first producing credits came on Poltergeist and E.T., followed by such films as Schindler's List, The Sixth Sense, Munich, War of the Worlds, The Diving Bell, and Butterfly. Lincoln, and franchises including Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, and then, of course, Star Wars films. That's more than $11 billion in global grosses, of which she had absolutely no hand in, quite frankly. She didn't, okay? She didn't have a say in that, because if she did, why is Star Wars in the position it's in? So, no, I just don't buy that she had a hand in creatively those projects being successful. Some people will say that she did. I doubt that very much. And the proof is in the last, over a decade now of dog shit films. So, since she took the top Lucasfilm post almost 14 years ago, and in that span, the company generated 5 features that continued the saga Lucas began in 1977 or branched into other directions. Those films had a global box office of $5.9 billion, which actually isn't that much when you know how much they cost. Okay? Which we know now because they've filmed in the UK and those figures are available. So we'll just scroll through this. I don't care about this guy, basically filleting her. I'm not interested in that. So as it says here, Lucasfilm has percolated a lot of future Star Wars films and generated many hours of Disney Plus series in recent years. Talk about this combination of Filoni and Brennan and you finally loosening your grip on the reins. So here's her response. 2 years ago, I went to Bob and Alan to figure out what the transition plan would be, and I made the recommendation that it be Dave Filoni and Lin-Wen Brennan. So this is why there's been rumours for so long, right? I mean, obviously some are just made up, but 2 years ago, she began exploring it. The latter of whom has been running the business alongside me. She comes out of ILM 16 years as the general manager and then transitioned into being the general manager for Lucasfilm. She's been my key financial partner, my business partner, running the company. Dave is the perfect person to transition. Has he? Lol. But he hadn't made a movie, and I worked very closely with him beginning with Rogue One to get him a feel of how live action works. His background is imagination, as he worked with George on Clone Wars. He's very talented and immersed in Star Wars. He and Pablo Hidalgo are like the walking encyclopedias inside the company. They always have the answer when you ask, hey, can I do this with a lightsaber? Or what colours were the sabers? Or anything else you need to know with what has come before. Dave has now spent all of the seasons of Mandalorian working with Jon Favreau, who's been a great mentor to him. And then he went off and did Ahsoka, which is garbage, which came from some of the stories he was telling in Clone Wars, and he was able to create the season 1 of Ahsoka, and now he's just finished directing Summer Season 2 and writing all the episodes. He finished that in October. My point is, we've been talking about this for 2 years. Brilliant. Great answer. Could have just said that fucking ages ago. Bob Iger retired, was replaced, and then came back. That is not happening here. Good. I told everybody I would stick around a bit longer than I had intended, but I am so ready to go off and have the chance to make lots of movies. God, I hope not. I want to do more movies, and I want the opportunity to get back to a kind of eclectic group of movies the way I used to. I'm looking forward to working with Frank again on some stuff. He has been doing lots of documentaries and having a ball. I'm also really interested in the new technology, I have to say. Great. AI. Yes. I'm interested in exploring the use of AI in responsible ways and working out the complications around trying to figure out what we're going to do in terms of protecting artists' rights. That is vitally important, but at the same time, there's nothing more exciting than having new tools that can expand on what you are capable of doing in terms of creating visual language around stories. Anyway, so there's that, right? Anyway, let's she talks about like past breakthroughs that compares to the potential game-changing storytelling elements of AI could help bring forward. I'm not really interested in that, but she is talking basically about using AI moving forwards, which, sure, whatever, but no one's interested in that. You've just wrapped the 6th film in the Star Wars universe. Is Starfighter meant to be an ongoing theatrical series? It was envisioned as a single film. Sean Levi just made the experience so pleasant for everybody, and we found this 14-year-old kid out of Ireland who had virtually no experience. That's always risky. Hanging a story so much on a child actor, you're not exactly sure how comfortable they're going to be. Flynn Gray turned out to be such a special kid. When you cast kids, a lot of it becomes about the parents. He has great parents and got lucky there too. Not only was he there with Ryan Gosling, this movie is structured in a way that he had kind of a new actor coming in every few weeks, that he was one-on-one with Matt Smith, Amy Adams, Aaron Pierre, and each one, it was so great to watch him because he would just get so excited by the actors he got to work with. It was like he was in the best university you could possibly be in. So didn't actually answer the questions. That's great. We're all going to throttle down at some point. Aside from the potential of AI, what excites you in a moment of exceptional disruption? And again, just more waffle, right? This is all just waffle. Not interested in that. About that, let's scroll through. Talks about producing credits, E.T. But you see what this is, right? What this is trying to remind the industry what she's worked on in the past. That's all it is. It's like, what did you work on in the past and what you're hoping to do? This is like her resume. It's her pitch for future films. It's garbage. No one's interested. So, yeah, we'll scroll past all this because, again, I'm not interested and I think this is garbage. So what about the question I asked earlier? Sounds like Sean would be a willing returnee and you've made a discovery with this kid from Ireland. Are we going to watch him grow up in an arc of pictures? We could. Great. Could have answered that ages ago. But this was designed as a real standalone. We have the Mandalorian movie with Jon Favreau coming next, which also was great and a completely different Star Wars movie. And that comes out in May. And as soon as I get back into town, I'm sitting down with John and looking at that. The whole time I've been shooting Starfighter, we've been working on effects that are going into that movie. We finished shooting in November. We've had a long post on that. And so I'll oversee a lot of those effect shots cut into John's movies, and I'll get myself re-immersed and get that finished. With Sean's movie, this could go on, but it's not our intention right now. We really made the movie as a standalone story, but you cannot ignore the fact that this young actor is so good. I will be very surprised if he doesn't go on, and we don't try to see if there might be future stories. But it was kind of nice not going into this and not having to think that way. We could just make a movie and tell a story. Great. So they're going to mine the piss out of that now as well, basically. What has been the highs and lows of running a company built on such beloved IP? I wonder what the highs and lows are. The highs include realising how many people love Star Wars. The majority of people... Not after you run it, you fucking giant dunce. The majority of people, and certainly the people that I run into, and people outside the business, they love Star Wars. They love the movies. They might love all the shows. They might love some of the shows. But when I came into this, I realised a few things. We had walked in at a moment when there hadn't been any movies for 10 years or more. And there was still the memory of the greatest series of movies in cinema history. So you're walking into something that has enormous expectations, yet at the same time, you know that you've got to find new characters and you have to expand the galaxy. You didn't do any of that. And you need to think about who the audience is. That's what I feel that I did. How? And that's what I feel all the people that I've worked with over this last decade did. The highs include bringing a new audience. Yeah, that new audience that's much smaller than the previous one. Good, well done. I think we did find new characters. We continue to find new characters. And the lows. Ooh. The lows are that you've got a very, very small percentage of the fan base that has enormous expectations. And basically they want to continue to see pretty much the same thing. And if you're not going to do that, then you know going in that you're going to disappoint them. I'm not sure there's anything you can do about that because you can't please everybody. All you can do is try to tell good stories and try to stick to the essence of what George created. I just want to remind everyone, this is the same woman that had that stupid, dumbass t-shirt saying the Force is female. She is so disingenuous here. It is quite radically insane how disingenuous she's being. I just want to remind everyone, the Force is female according to her. He embedded incredible values into Star Wars and what it has to say, the whole idea of hope and fun and entertainment in what he's done over all these years. That's what I tried to preserve, and I wouldn't do that any differently, and I wouldn't change anything that we've done over the years. Brilliant. No introspection. I understand why some people may like certain things more than others, but that's not going to change why I decided to do certain things and why I decided to work with the people we worked with. Yeah, because you're an idiot. I think everybody that came into Star Wars space, they love Star Wars, and that was first and foremost important. You want to have people come into Star Wars and want to tell stories, wanting to make movies and wanting to create television shows that you respect and care about. Favreau is completely different to Gilroy, and yet they're both incredibly talented storytellers. I found it thrilling to support each one of them, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, goes a bit further, talks about, this is what I think I do well, and that's what I like to do and want to continue to do, and hopefully that took Star Wars into the next step. We'll see in the long run, but it feels like it did. I feel like we expanded the universe. We brought new audiences in. And I think that that's the most difficult thing to do with franchises. Great. No one cares. And that's kind of it, really. There's not a whole lot there, right? We'll scroll through some of this. Talks about, Bruce Springsteen, Elvis Presley, basically like J.J. Abrams, cycle of Star Wars, lots of filmmakers, affected them, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? This is all kind of redundant. But we'll scroll through some of this because it's not that great. Talks about Ryan Coogler. Again, not that great. How many years on average, blah, blah, blah. Let's get to what the fans are eager to know. The progress on films and series by filmmakers you've committed to putting in that 3 to 5 years. Rian Johnson, James Mangold, Simon Kinberg, Taika Waititi. Where are all their projects at? I've got to tread a bit carefully here. James Mangold and Beau Willimon wrote an incredible script, but it is definitely breaking the mold and it's on hold. Great. No shit. Taika has turned in a script that I think is hilarious and great. It's not just my decision, especially when I've got a foot out the door. Donald Glover has turned in a script, and as you have read, Steven Soderbergh and Adam Driver turned in a script written by Scott Burns. It was just great. Anything's a possibility if somebody's willing to take a risk. I remember when I came into this job, the first thing Bob Iger said to me was, be bold. Brilliant. I've always liked that because I think you have to be bold and you have to be willing to take risks with people and with ideas. Otherwise, you're just doing the same thing. And right now, we're in an era where companies are so risk averse, and I get it. I hear all the conversations. But you did exactly the same stuff everyone thought you would do, you absolute pleb. Oh, the Force is female. Shut up. What about Rian Johnson returning? Once he made the Netflix deal and went off to start doing Knives Out films, that has occupied a huge amount of his time. That's the other thing that's happened here. After Sean and I started talking about Star Wars, Stranger Things kicks in, and he was completely consumed for a while by that. That's what happened with Ryan, and then I do believe he got spooked by the online negativity. Really? That's not what he's been saying, but okay. I think Ryan made one of the best Star Wars movies. He's a brilliant filmmaker, and he got spooked. This is the rough part. When people come into this space, have every filmmaker and actor say to me, what's going to happen? They're a little scared. Well, stop making dog shit then. Absolute idiot. You've developed a thicker skin, no doubt. You can't have been used to all the criticism when you were producing. Yeah, well, again, that's what happens, isn't it? I'm honest, especially with the women that come into this space, because they unfairly get targeted. What are you talking about? I don't try to sugarcoat it, and I emphasise that it's a very small group of people with loud megaphones. Oh, God, you're mental. So, no introspection. So, basically, she's just going to do the same shit as always. You have to develop a tough skin. That's exactly right. That's what you have to do. You can't make it go away. Great. And so it goes a little bit further. It's not that great. How's the project that Simon Kinberg's writing and producing? He's working on it right now. He wrote something we read in August. It was very good, but not there. We've pretty much upended that story and then spent a great deal of time on the treatment, which he finished literally about 4 weeks ago. And it's very detailed treatment, like 70 pages. And so he's expected to give us something in March. Brilliant. Are there any other Star Wars films or spin-offs the fan base will never forgive me for overlooking? We've talked about this new trilogy, and then the things that you've mentioned, Mangold's, is really on the back burner. I think the ones by Taika and Donald are still somewhat alive. What is this? That's going to really be up to the new team to figure out. Dave, I know that Dave and Linwin are very much on board with what Simon's doing. And that would be a new trilogy in the timeline of things. That takes you well into 2030, so that's really what's up next. So what about Daisy Ridley? What about the Rey movies, huh? What's going on? Fucking clown show. Anyway, so she's going to be producing stuff, right? So she's back. Again, I'm just kind of scrolling through this. What an absolute clown show. What an absolute clown show. Absolutely ridiculous. No, I don't really have any regrets. Brilliant. Well, maybe a bit of regret about Solo, a Star Wars story. I brought Larry Kasdan in on, and we were so excited about the idea. And then when you're in something and you realise fundamentally, conceptually, you cannot replace Han Solo. Great. So no regrets. No regrets. Great. At the same time, many felt that Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny was an example of where Harrison Ford stayed a little too long. No, I have no regrets about that because Harrison wanted to do that more than anything. Great. I've got no regrets sinking hundreds of millions of dollars into a film that did dog shit money. Great. Well done. She's mental. Sounds like you're not ruling out another film. You never know. We're all still here. Stephen, Frank and I and Harrison and George. So we get to say whether there's going to be any more or not. Great. Fuck. Please do. Please do more. What a clown show. No introspection. No regrets. She's got no regrets, guys. Tanked every single IP that Lucasfilm owns, right, as a studio. No regrets. You're mental, love. You're mental.